Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Jasmine and I'm pretty much gonna jump straight into how I ended up broken pregnant. So, okay, it's kind of like a joke, but it's really not. Um, I'm currently 20 weeks, so just kind of hitting that 5-month mark. And it wasn't easy getting here. It really wasn't. So I'm just here to share my story and let you guys know what all I've been through so far and continue the story along the way. So pretty much how I found out I was pregnant was the fact that I just started having these really weird symptoms. They were pretty normal considering the fact that I'm a female, we get our periods and whatever, but it wasn't coming. Like Mother Nature was nowhere to be found. So I found out December 1st that I was pregnant. But from October, the end of October, like things were already really weird. And it doesn't really make sense because, you don't really, you have to wait till you ovulate to get pregnant and all this other stuff. So, anyway, more or less, November 5th, I had spotting and I was really confused because I didn't have symptoms prior to that led me to believe, anything was going on. So when I took a test, I believe it was November 10th or November 11th, it was negative, and I was like, okay, well, there's that. So a couple days passed, maybe like 4 or 5 days, and I was still having really weird symptoms, and I was like, okay, this doesn't make any sense. Let me try again. And it was negative. There was no like faint line or anything. So, I mean, what can you do but move on with your life? So November continued and I started having the same symptoms, but they were getting a little more intense. And I would talk to my boyfriend about them and he was just like, "You're pregnant." And I was like, "No, I'm not." So we just kind of continued with our everyday life, but we would still think about it and like talk about it from time to time. And it came to Thanksgiving. And I remember laying in my bed the night before Thanksgiving and scrolling on my phone, and I was looking at symptoms of pregnancy. And I was like, okay, it says headaches. I haven't had any headaches. So as soon as I have a headache, then I'll worry about it. And believe it or not, the next day when I woke up, I had the worst headache. I took some Tylenol and it did not help. And that was pretty much that. Um, that kind of like started to make me worry a little more. And I was helping my mom cook Thanksgiving dinner. Well, yeah, dinner, duh. And I think I was like melting butter for her, something like really simple. And I smelled it and I just started gagging. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this might be real. And then the next thing that popped into my head was I've always told myself that if I got pregnant and I didn't know, my mom would tell me. Like, because you know how moms, they know. So I was like, if my mom says something, then I'll worry about it. And literally, right after I started like gagging, because clearly she was in the kitchen with me, she was like, you've been really off lately. And I was like, no, I haven't. Like, I was just so stuck and shocked, like, in the moment because I literally just said in my head, like, as soon as my mom says something, then I'm gonna know. So I just went on with my day, and Thanksgiving is literally like my favorite holiday. I kid you not, I love food, but I was not really able to eat the way that you normally would expect to eat on Thanksgiving. Things were like so weird. I had the worst headache in the world. I was like nauseous. It was just so much going on. I just felt horrible. Like I can't even describe all of the things that I felt because it was so many different things. And I remember I had on this like red bodycon dress and I was like feeling really good. And I only say bodycon dress because it was like really tight. And I feel like that might have been part of the reason that I had all these really bad symptoms because I was like squeezing the baby and he was not having it. So that's that. But so I just continued the next day, whatever. I went shopping. I met up with my friend for lunch. I actually had a drink. I shouldn't have done that, but I was feeling fine. So I figured, okay, maybe it was just like me not sleeping or whatever the case may be. So anyway, I continued my day and I feel like that weekend I really just noticed that the symptoms started coming back. The nausea, getting up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and just like everything was so weird. And again, I was still waiting on Mother Nature, who was not making an appearance. So my next cycle was supposed to come, I believe, December 8th, December 10th. And I was like, you know what? I will wait until 2 days after it's supposed to come. And then if it doesn't come, I will take another test. And then once I got to talking to my boyfriend, I was like, I can't really wait any longer to figure this out. Like, I just want to know so that we can either rule it out again or, like, start worrying about this. So when I came home on Sunday night, I had spent the weekend at his house. When I came home, I was like, should I take it now? Should I wait till the morning? Like, I was really trying not to worry about it. He was like, oh, just take it now. Like, you're not going to sleep if you don't know. And then I was like, but if I do know and it's positive, then I'm really not going to sleep. So I took the test and we were just on the phone. I was talking and I was like, yeah, like just talking about whatever. And then I saw that first line pop up and I just stopped. Like, I was speechless. I wasn't able to, like, even, what is the word? Like, comprehend what was really going on. One, because literally, so I got pregnant 2019, clearly. So 2018, I had literally had one of my doctors tell me that I was more or less going to have trouble conceiving. So that was part of the reason why we necessarily weren't careful. And once that happened, I was like, what is going on? Like, everything I've been told is clearly a lie because, this test is positive. So I had sent him a picture and he was just like, yeah, I mean, I knew that's what it was. So it is what it is. And I was just like, I don't know. Like, this isn't sitting right with me. Something's really weird. And I remember that night I could just like sit up all night and think and pray and just like, go on with my life. The next day I had gone to his house and I was like, you know what, let's go get some tests and let's take them. I think we got 2 more. We got the digital one and the normal one that just says like a plus or minus. And we took the plus or minus one and it said positive. And then I was like, let's take the digital one. Like, that one, that way I can literally see the word. It's going to tell me straight up, like, I don't have to sit here and say, maybe it's a little faint, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And for sure, it definitely said pregnant. So I was like, well, there goes that. Like, that's 3 tests that said they were positive. And I believe in the next like 3 weeks, I had started taking other tests. I believe I took like 4 other tests because I was just so shocked and I just like couldn't believe it. So the next step was telling our parents and getting to a doctor. So I had found out on a Sunday. Monday, we worked together, so we both went to work and just kind of tried to like go on and not really think about it because it was still clearly very early. And also, we knew it was early because we were checking pretty much for a whole month and it was negative and then it just turned positive. So Monday, everything's fine. And we're just like, when do we tell our parents? When should we set up the appointment? Like, what are we going to do? How are we going to work this out? Talking about those things. And Wednesday, we had our first prenatal appointment. And it was not what we were expecting because when I called to make the appointment, they were like, when was your last cycle and like all this other stuff, and they were like, yeah, you look like you should be about 2 months, so let's go ahead and get you scheduled. And I was like, 2 months and I didn't know that I was pregnant? Like, that's kind of ridiculous. So before we get into how the appointment went on Tuesday when I went to work, my lovely manager made me come in early in the morning. I normally went in at 10 and he had just like switched my schedule around. And then, so, I would get there at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I want to say it was around 9:30. And he's like, hey, I need to talk to you. And I literally, like, just from his face and his vibe and like how much he hated the world and everyone in it, I was like, he's about to fire me. Like, of course, this is about to happen to me. So we had our little meeting and he's like, this just isn't working out, so we're gonna have to let you go. And I like didn't have the energy to fight with him or be like, what can I do? What's going on? Or like plead my case. I was just like, all right, of course, because that's just my life. Like, you know, one thing goes wrong and everything goes right after it. It's a domino effect that it is what it is. So I pretty much packed up my stuff and I texted my boyfriend, who was also my supervisor, which he didn't know at the time because my manager knew that we were dating. So of course he's not going to run to him and be like, I'm about to fire your girlfriend. So anyway, yes, that's how I ended up broke. And also before that, I didn't really work as much because, well, not as much, but that week. I think I had only worked like 2 or 3 days because I was so nauseous and I didn't know why, but clearly I had just found out like the day before. So yes, 2 days after I found out I was pregnant, I lost my job. And then for our appointment, we went to a doctor that I already didn't really care for. She didn't seem like she really cared for you. Like she kind of just made it seem like this is my job and we're just going to do this and get out. Like she doesn't talk to you or anything. Not that she has to like get into your personal life, but you get what I'm saying. There's no connection. So she comes in and we're like laughing and talking. Well, my boyfriend and I were laughing and talking, and she just like gets straight into it and she does the transvaginal ultrasound and she just goes, when was your last cycle? And I was like, the beginning of October. And she was like, and you haven't had any bleeding since then? And I was like, well, I had some spotting in November, like November 5th. And she was like, that might have been a period. And I was like, so is there no baby? Or like, what are you telling me? And she was like, it's too early to tell anything. Just come back in 3 weeks. And I was like, and that was like literally it. She like packed up everything and leaves. And we were like, you didn't say much of anything, like, oh, it looks like you might be X amount of weeks along, or I'm not seeing anything yet, so it's too soon. Like, yes, she said it was too early, but it was literally like, it's too early, just come back. And that was it. So it was just a lot going on. And before that, I was so anxious for the appointment because, you know, when you have that positive test, that's all you have, that's all you know is you're pregnant. You don't know how far along, if everything's okay, if you've done anything wrong thus far. So it was really like, it wasn't reassuring at all. I'm not crying, my eyes like watering, but it was just like scary and annoying because you know nothing, you're just going back to live your everyday life and pretty much sit there and just think about it, especially me because now I didn't have a job. So that was something else that I had to worry about, was finding one. And so I pretty much went on with my everyday life. And I remember I called my best friend, actually the day I got fired. So Tuesday, I called my best friend and I was like, so I have some news. And I just pretty much showed him the pregnancy test and he was like, what? Like, what is going on? And then I had called my brothers. I have 2 older brothers and I told them about it. And they were honestly really excited, but of course they knew, like, you know, you have to tell our parents, so good luck. And that was the main thing that my boyfriend and I kind of disagreed on because he felt that we shouldn't say anything to our parents until I was about 3 months, you know, when you're kind of out of that, like, I don't want to say safe zone because it's not a safe zone. When you're out of the scary part, you know, the first trimester is really scary because anything can go wrong at any moment and you just, you know, never know. Anyway, so I was like, I think we should tell them like as soon as possible because I don't want them to like suspect something, or like if something's going wrong, or if I feel like I have to hide it, like I'm not going to be able to do that and like have an everyday interaction with them. So I had actually ended up telling my parents Tuesday, the day that I lost my job, and they were just like, all right, like, here we go. My dad honestly just said like, okay. And my mom was just like, okay, well, your life's going to change. You know, you have a lot of responsibility. You really need to figure this out. You like, you know, you're going down the wrong path already because you just lost your job. You're pregnant. Like, what are you going to do? You have to figure out a plan and you need one fast. So, I mean, you know, it went a lot better than I thought it was going to go. I definitely thought that someone was going to kill me or, you know, hit me with something. Who knows? You know, normal things that you're worried about when you tell your parents stuff like that. So, I mean, it actually turned out pretty good. And I believe it was a couple of days later he told his parents, and they were just pretty much the same thing. They were just shocked and then went on with their lives. And everyone eventually, I want to say not even a week later, was like really excited about it. And we were just, you know, what do? You go on Google, you go on YouTube and researching things and trying to figure out what's going on. And there was just so much that happened in between everything. However, that is more or less how I found out, telling our parents and, you know, figuring out what our next steps were going to be. And we actually made a new appointment, and I believe it was for like December 18th. And then my mom was like, no, I don't like that doctor. You don't like her, so there's no point in going back to her. Just go to a different one that you like and all this other stuff. So I found a different doctor at a different hospital that I liked and made the appointment for December 30th. So December 30th rolls around finally, which literally took forever. And once December 30th rolled around, we went to the doctor's appointment and we did the ultrasound, and she was like, oh my gosh, there's your baby, there's the heartbeat and all this other stuff. And you know, that's when most people say like, oh, I heard the heartbeat and it became real for me. And it really wasn't real for me. And I feel like it's just now starting to become real, now that we're actually like buying things and like preparing for the baby to come, and like the baby shower, and I'm like starting to show and everything. I feel like that's what made it real for me. But you know, everyone's different. I kind of wish it was real for me when I heard the heartbeat, but I want to say now that I'm like feeling the baby kick and like all this other stuff, it's definitely real. And I'm ready for it. I'm excited. But after our December 30th visit, I pretty much rushed to the hospital about a week later because I was bleeding. So that was a scare that we had. You know, I thought like, great, everyone just got excited and now what's going on? But thankfully it was only a UTI, and that was, I guess, that was easy to take care of. You know, it's better than it being something way worse, and we got that out of the way. But then we had another appointment in March that really changed things because we went to our anatomy scan, and then after our scan, they were like, well, we're gonna have the doctor come into this conference room and speak to you. And I will save that story for the next video. So, what's next that I've been through thus far includes surgery, hospital stays, rushing back and forth to the hospital for different things, and just multiple scares and, you know, all the ups and downs that you could possibly think of. Again, I'm just sharing this because this is my story, and it's not easy. I definitely thought it was going to be a lot easier. You know, you just like big and you feel the baby and you get to buy baby stuff, and like it's completely different. The nausea, the headaches, the everything, it's a lot. But in the next video, I will be telling you guys how I ended up in surgery and being hospitalized and everything with this coronavirus and whatever else I can think of to share, as in the tea of my pregnancy. But as of right now, that is how I ended up broken pregnant. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.